So here are some of the things that you guys should be kind of using as a checklist when you're designing your project, and then some additional things that I want to kind of throw in there. Okay. So like one of the things that we talked about is that we want to try, with the exception of the floor, we want to try to avoid coplanar conditions, right? And so are these two coplanar?
Yes.
They are. So that's the problem. Is this and this coplanar?
Yes.
Right. So. Okay. There we go. Just fixing that one. Don't worry about it. Let's keep going. Okay. So here's something that we did not talk about that I want to talk about now. The edges of this model that you have here is the edge. That's your property line. So you cannot go over your property lines. Okay. You cannot build on your neighbor's site. They'll get mad at you. They'll get upset. They won't let you. So you have to keep everything onto your site. That's really important. Another thing that I did mention at one point, but maybe not everybody understood it, is that these corridors really have to go this direction. Okay? And the reason that they have to go this direction is that if we leave them this direction, what's the distance from here to here? 8 feet, right? Okay. Give me that little pencil right there. All right. So, and then we've got a wall thickness that's right here, and a wall thickness that's right here. And how thick are those two walls? Floors, actually. Huh? 9. So what's 9 plus 9? 18, which is 1 foot 6. So what's 8 minus 1 foot 6? 6 foot 6. Okay. So if I was standing inside of this room, I'm not quite that skinny, but my head would be almost to the ceiling. The roof would be right here. Now that's pretty uncomfortable, isn't it? So that's one of the things that you guys got to start to think about, is put yourself into these spaces. All right. So these things really got to be this way. Okay. So I'm going to stand that one up that way, and I'm going to stand this one up this way, and this might start to solve some of your problem of stuff going off the edges.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm assuming that this is the living room, dining room.
Yes.
Correct? All right. So let's take a look at this, because this is the this is his site right here, this little one. So my recollection is that the good views were from about here, right, around to about here. Correct? So everything that away and that away was all good. And pretty much everything from about here, everything from here back all the way over to about here was negative. Right? Because that water tower is here. No, Ryan, it's not a positive view. What did we say it was? We came up with an alter. Cemetery. Right? So the cemetery is over here. Right? I think we gotta fix that. We're gonna change that to a cemetery. Right? Like, and make it really spooky since it's getting close to Halloween.
Yeah.
All right. Put a couple werewolves in there. A couple of pirates.
Noted.
All right. So when I look at that and I look over here, then what that's telling me is that everything from about here to about there is a negative view, and everything around that way is pretty positive, right? Okay. So one of the questions that I have here is this hill's kind of coming up and then going down. Is it possible that maybe this might want to change its location?
Yeah.
If you wanted to capture the views that are out here, this might want to be over here on top of this hill. Furthermore, the more of this that you separate out from that, right, the more area that you have for window. Does that make sense? If you bury this back in a corner, you can put windows only in so many areas. But if you put this out here and say, I'm going to move this one up, over, this one we're going to cut off, right? Let's say this comes up to here and it connects like that, right? See what I'm saying? I got to stack some of these little blockies up. 2, 3. There we go. So if you do this, right, and what I'm trying to do is keep your design, just I'm moving it up the hill.
Okay.
Right? so these would then come back this way. All right. If you do this, then you have this whole area around here that can have, you know, sort of exposure. Right? Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is your library. It doesn't matter if it is looking up at the water tower. No, the cemetery. I think Ryan's idea was brilliant. Nobody, well, I should never say that. I guess there are some people that would like to look at a cemetery. I don't know. Who knows? I was surprised that somebody wanted to look at a water tower. Ryan's like, I like water towers. Maybe it was like one of those old wooden ones and there was like a Wile E. Coyote on it or something. I guess I didn't know who Wile E. Coyote is. Forget it.
We know who that is.
You do, they don't. They're looking at me like, huh?
We know who that is. Roadrunner.
It's the Roadrunner, yeah. Okay, any rate. So that's one suggestion to you, right? Just kind of separate this thing out. By doing this, we've already fixed the two-level problem,
Yeah.
right? So that's good. And so now this one can sort of come up in here. Maybe that goes down like that. Oops. And part of working with the topography is like learning how to engage the pieces so that they use the natural stepping of the ground. So you see how I did? See how tricky that was? It doesn't require any stuff under it. It just stays. It's almost like you're doing it on the computer. It doesn't move. No gravity. Okay. Now another thing for your checklist. I believe that your program requirement said something about exact repetition. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes? So is this exact repetition?
One of them's off.
One of them's off. So you're going to have to flip it around and move that down so that they're all going the same direction. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So these are this is some of the critique that each of you need to kind of start to take in and then adjust your model for it. Okay? So this, in turn, if you want to tilt this up at the plan, which it won't be able to see.
Just bring it up to the camera.
What's that?
Bring it up to the camera.
No, this in turn is going to start to have an impact on this plan. Okay? One other thing that I want you guys to understand also is that these corridors, in addition to having to stand up, they were designed so that you could shorten them up some. So we made them extra long so that if you wanted to have these long things, you could. But if you wanted to have stuff that wasn't quite so long, it would also work. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. So let's go ahead and stop that video. And I think you've got some